Hi, I'm Teresa Coates. Welcome to the Quarter Millennial Quilt Sew Along. Today we're going to do the block for Utah. For Utah, we are doing a modified Salt Lake City block. So we've stretched it to fit our parameters for the Quarter Millennial Quilt. And we've really leaned into the whole Beehive State theme with this block. So I've gotten a few things prepared. I've gotten our half square triangles made. These are with the A and B fabric. And then I've made some of the split quarter square triangles with the A, B, and C fabric. So that's what these are. Is my A, B, and C fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to make this block. You'd start with a half square triangle, and then you're going to add a square of the same size. We're going to mark the back of this first. So I'm just going to draw a line right down the center here from corner to corner. All right, and then I'm going to lay these together. So the important part here is that we want this line to be twisted so that it creates kind of an X shape here, because as you see, we're going to sew it here and then it becomes that block, just like this. All right, that's what we're aiming for. So I'm going to put these two together. Put a little pin down each side just to make sure that these don't shimmy too much on me as I'm sewing. And then I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch down the side each way. All right, so let's go do that. All right, so I can go ahead and cut this in half. All right, and then I'm going to take this over and give it a little press. All right, so now that I've got those made, I can go ahead and trim these. So when we're trimming them, there's a couple of things to look for. So we want to make sure that this gets into a corner and that these two get into the corner. So when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that my quarter or my line here, the 45-degree line goes right down that, but then I need to make sure that at my 2.5 inch that this is going to be in the corner. All right, so I'm just going to kind of shimmy it just a little bit. I can see I'm going to cut off just a little bit here at the bottom and a little off the two sides. So I'm going to keep that right there. Trim aside, trim aside. And I'll turn around and do the same thing, and I can kind of do a double check because now this line should end at the mark. Okay. It's going to be off just a tiny bit, and I'm going to fix that. Okay. Because I want that to work perfectly. So my ruler slipped just a little. Let's go fix it. Okay, so now I'm going to line it up with my marks here, make sure it's right, and now I can see that's going to be right in the corner. All right, so that's going to be really important that those actually land in the corner because our edges are going to need to match. So if it takes a couple of times to get it, it is well worth the try. Okay, so again, I'm going to make sure that that's in the corner, that's up in the corner there, and that this is running on the 45. So I'm going to hold that real tight. Give it a little twist. Do it again. So again, I'm going to check here, do a little double check, make sure everything is landing where it's supposed to. If I need to kind of shimmy this a little, I can just pull just the tiniest bit there on my seam allowances. All right, and there we go. So now we've got 12 of these guys. So we got 4 half square triangles. We've got 12 of these. The thing to note about these is that they are in 2 orientations. Okay. So I'm going to put it so that my B's are up in that corner, and that's easy enough for me to see which one goes where. All right, there we go. So now we've got our 2 sets here, and these are what we're going to use to put this block together. We're going to start with our corners, which are going to be our AB half square triangles. Push these out of the way so we can lay out our whole block. All right, so I'm going to lay it out like this. I'm just going to follow the diagram that we've got. Put these out where we need to. All right, and then we're going to start putting these out. And so these are going to go so that they are matching here and here. So when these come together, we should have these matching in the center and these matching here. All right, so that's what we want to make. So we'll do one of one and one of the other to make it actually do that. Okay, so I'm going to put one here, and then I'll need one of these and one of these. All right, and then we're going to do one here, do here, and here, I believe, but we'll do a little double check and make sure that we're getting this right. There we go. All right. So I'm going to do a little double check, make sure that my reds are all on the outside there, that I've got the blues facing the right way in the corners. Looks like they're all in the right place. And then this one is going to go right in the center. And I've made the little applique for the beehive. It has a little bee right there, which is adorable. We'll take care of that at the end. But let's go ahead and put these together. I'm going to put them together into pairs, and then we'll put them back where they belong. All right, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to put these right sides together, and I want both to match. All right, so both of these lines need to match so that my points come together really well. So I'm going to carefully pin here, and then I'll carefully pin up here, making sure that my lines are coming together. I can kind of just look here, make sure that they're working like that. Give it a little pin, and I'm going to sew a quarter inch seam allowance. All right, so before I put this under, I'm going to start with a little leader and stitch on this first, and that'll help me to get this started, because as I start here, we've got a lot of thickness and it's going to want to eat it. So we're going to start with a little leader ender, get this under there. And now as it starts to go, I can keep an end on, or a hand on this side, make sure it comes through evenly. Okay, lift up my foot, make sure it's going to end really nicely here as well. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and chain piece these together. So now that I've gotten these pressed, I opened up all of the seams so they'll lay nice and flat, double checked all of my points, and now I can lay them out to where they were. So I can see how this block is really going to come together. All right, so now once I have it like this, I'm going to go ahead and sew these into rows. So this is going to be a row, this will be a row, and this will be a row. And then we'll put them together. So let's do that. All right, so now that each row is sewn together, I'm going to go ahead and press these, and I'll bring them back and sew them together. So now that they're ironed, I'll put them back in the order that they were. Okay. Make sure again that my points are matching pretty well. So we combined points again here and here. And those are matching pretty good. So at this point, I'm just going to sew these together. I'm going to match these seams here. So I'm going to open that up so I can see it. Put a little pin in here. And then I'm going to put a pin in here. Okay, so that way our seams are going to match. But I do want to make sure that when I'm sewing across these, I'm getting my 1/4 inch so that I'm not cutting off any of these points. So I'm going to pin that open right there so that I can see it. And as I'm sewing, I can kind of make sure that it's hitting the right spot. All right, so let's do that. All right, so I'm going to start with my leader again because I have to start on a thick point. So I have to start up here, and I don't really want that to move on me too much. So I'm going to pinch that together. I'm going to put it under the needle here. Okay, now that won't shimmy when I start going. And if it has a little bit of trouble, I can always keep my hand on that to keep it coming through. So here I'm going to keep an eye and make sure that my needle's going to pass right by that point. And then we'll do the next thing. We'll do the same thing on this next one. Now I can do the same on here. Get my leader, and I'm going to repin this whole row the same way. Just kind of doing a double check, make sure I've got it right. And then we're going to pin the areas that we need to match. All right, so now that I got all of that sewn, I did press these toward the center because they're so thick and it's so many of them. So I just pressed this toward the center to make it a little bit easier to press. And now I have the choice of putting on a little applique. And so I have used some Wonder Under and fused it to the fabric. And then I did the same thing for the little beehive hole here with the little bee in it. And I'm going to actually wait to put this on until I decide where in my quilt this is going to go, because I could put it this way or I can switch it around and put it this direction. So we're just going to have to decide, but there's my block for Utah.